What is up, guys? Welcome back into a brand new Rams House video. And today I'm going to be introducing a new segment called Rams House Q&A, where you guys ask me questions on the community tab and on YouTube, and I'm going to be answering them in video format. If you want to be a part of this next time, just keep an eye out on my community tab for questions, and you can ask whatever ones you have down below about the Rams. The first question asks, do you think that the Rams can repeat and go back to another Super Bowl? I personally think that we can, not only from the roster that we've constructed over the last few years, but also from our coaching staff. I think Sean McVay is really good at ever evolving, ever changing, but keeping the key pieces of his philosophy intact. I think our organization always is wanting to win. They're always ready to make a move, an aggressive move, and that is always very, very helpful. I think we've proven that this team has great depth for when we need the depth staff to step up. That's always just kind of a constant media narrative that is thrown out there that we don't have depth, but we actually do. We were proving that in the playoffs last year, or we've been proving that over the few seasons. We've also gained some really great playoff experience and Super Bowl appearances as well. And I think that NFC as a whole just isn't as strong as it once was, making our path to the Super Bowl easier. So yes, I do think that we can repeat and go back to another Super Bowl. The next question comes from Annette Mendoza. Thank you for dropping your question down below. He says, who do you think is going to replace Von Miller? And this is a great question, and I originally thought that we were going to go out in free agency, grab somebody like Zadarius Smith, and there's obviously some great pass rushers that are still left in the free agency as of me making this video. But the more free agency goes on, I think the Rams are going to stick with the depth that they have on their team currently. These are some really, really solid players that we have on the edge opposite of Leonard Floyd, but I think it's just the fact that we've been spoiled by Von Miller for half a season and seeing what he can do, with Aaron Donald, that we think it's a need now that he leaves. I really enjoyed what Justin Hollins was doing before he got hurt and Von Miller came in. We really didn't see a lot of Justin Hollins after that, but I think he's a really complete player. He can play the run well, and he was also looking really good in the pass rushing. Terrell Lewis, when he is healthy and when he's in his zone, he looks like a really good edge rusher, and I think that us Rams fans just kind of want to see a little bit more from him just because of the knee issues that he's been having. We really haven't seen a ton from him, but he did show some promise with us last year. And my personal favorite, I really like Chris Garrett out of the draft that we got in 2021. I think he has so much upside. He showed his potential in the preseason, and I think that he has a really bright future. As long as we stay committed to him and continue to develop him, I think he has a really bright future. So I think the Rams are going to stick with the depth that they have at that position, personally, and I don't think that, obviously it's going to be a downgrade to what Von Miller brought, but I don't personally think it is much of a need as what Rams fans are making it. The next question comes in from Payo Time. Make sure you guys subscribe to Payo Time's channel. Amazing Rams YouTuber, amazing guy. Gotten to collaborate with him a few times. Definitely recommend his channel, so make sure to subscribe down to his channel. And his question is, would you have been disappointed if the Gatorade dumped on McVay at the Super Bowl wasn't blue? I mean, if it was yellow, I don't think I would have been very disappointed, but the blue definitely did look nice. I appreciate your question, Payo Time. The next question comes in from Jeremiah JJ45, and he asks, do you think Tutu Atwell is going to have a breakout season next year as a deep threat? And for me personally, Jeremiah, I'm still not very high on Tutu Atwell. I was when we drafted him, but from the things that we saw in preseason and the very limited things that we saw in the regular season before he got injured, I really didn't see a ton about him that made him different from, different receivers in the league or different players in the league. Obviously, a big thing about him is his speed, and you're talking about that deep threat. And so we're going to really have to see more if the Rams give him more reps there. But, I wasn't too impressed with Tutu Atwell. I think the Rams are going to try to make an effort to get him more playing time this year. That's something that Liam Cohen has talked about and Sean McVay has spoke about a little briefly about. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think Tutu Atwell is going to get more chances, but as far as having a breakout season as a deep threat, I don't know if I see that in the cards this season. The next question comes from Annette Mendoza. He says, now that Woods is gone, that still hurts my heart a little bit. Says, do you think the Rams will renegotiate Kupp's contract because of the year he had, or make a new negotiation with OBJ? Great question, man. I would probably say, I think OBJ is going to come back with the Rams regardless. I think he is just going to come back and is not going to be on a deal that breaks the bank. I think it's going to be more of a cheaper deal, especially because of the injury that he suffered in the Super Bowl. I think he's going to use this year as a year just to kind of reset his market and get the stock high on him again so he can get a little bit of a bigger contract. And I think Kupp does kind of not restructure, but I think he's going to get a new deal that is more deserving of what he did with us a little bit later down the line. So I don't think it's going to be a one or the other decision, but I think that's just going to be the way it goes. The next question here comes from Alejandro. He asks, what do you think is the biggest need for the Rams / the biggest flaw for the team currently? That's a great question, man, and I could go a couple different ways for this one, but I'm just going to pinpoint it to cornerback. Obviously, we have Jalen Ramsey, but we did just lose Darius Williams. I can't remember if Dante Dion is going to be a free agent or not, but behind him, we have David Long and Robert Rochelle. Now, I really like the upside for Robert Rochelle, and I'm excited to see him get more playing time, and I think he will. You know, David Long Jr. played really well down the stretch last year, and we'll see what happens with Dante Dion. But, you know, I do think that it is kind of a little bit of a weakness that we should at least get somebody in free agency, possibly the draft, who knows. I think that's just something that we should target, not only for depth, but also we just are kind of unsure about the play behind Jalen Ramsey, behind David Long Jr. So, you know, I think that's a position that we should assess. Johnny Ripple asks, Fuller, Burgess, Scott, Rapp. Who do you have as the Rams starting 2 safeties next year? I'm going with Fuller and Scott. And I'm going to have to agree with you, Johnny. I would say Fuller and Scott are my top 2 as well, because Fuller, obviously, he had a great first 1.5 years with the Rams before he got injured, obviously. And he was the green dot, and he was a very highly regarded player on this Rams team, on the Rams defense. And Nick Scott, he really balled out in the chances that he was given last year in that playoff run. He was really playing well, and I think that he just kind of solidified his spot on this Rams team. I overall haven't been very impressed with Rapp. I feel like he's either the same player or each week he's a little bit different, where his play is just kind of average or he has a bad game. And then as far as Burgess, it's kind of weird. It feels like the Rams don't want to give him a ton of time, and it may be because they don't think he's ready or not. I want to see more of Burgess, obviously, but it feels like the Rams just aren't really looking in that direction just yet. So I'm going to have to agree with you. I think it's going to be Fuller and Scott, and I like that combo at safety for sure. The last question in here comes from Andres. He asks, when the Rams beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship game, it was one of the best days of my life. The moment was surreal. How did it feel for you after the game? Oh man, thank you for asking this question. I would love to relive the memories of beating the 49ers. That one in particular was just amazing. Obviously, we hadn't beaten them in so long. It's like 6 or 7 times that we lost to them in a row, and we had obviously just come off the heels of not eliminating them from the playoffs in week 18, losing to them in overtime at our own building. This game felt like, okay, we got to do this. We can't let them win in our home stadium to go to the Super Bowl, and we got to settle the score. And it felt like a little bit there, like we were going to lose to them again, but then the comeback was made and we ended up winning, beating them, sending them home now on the biggest stage that we could have sent them home on. I remember when Jimmy Garoppolo kind of did his helicoptering spin around, throw it out, and Trayvon Howard picked it off. I remember my heart was like, oh my gosh, did we actually just win this? My family was going crazy, jumping around. That was definitely a moment that I'll remember forever, and to send them home while us going to the Super Bowl to eventually win it, definitely a fond memory for me. But I appreciate you all very much for commenting and asking me questions on that community tab. Once again, if you guys want to enter for the Q&A, just enter your question down below in the community tab, and I will try to get it answered on the video next time. I appreciate all of you guys for watching throughout the whole video. Have a great day, guys. Thumbs up and God bless.